Welcome back, and thank you for tuning in to Midnight Affairs Tales. We appreciate every single one of you. We'd love to know what part of the world you are watching from right now. Let us know in the comments. Now, let's dive into today's story, Chapter 1. The knock came at exactly 7:13 a.m. I had been home for less than 24 hours, my duffel bag still zipped, my boots still coated in Afghan dust. I was sipping black coffee from a chipped mug that read, "Best Dad Ever," a Father's Day gift from Lily 2 years ago. I opened the door expecting Amanda, but it was a deputy. "Luke Rayner?" the man asked, his voice practiced and professional. "Yes," I said. "You have been served. Temporary restraining order. Do not contact Amanda Rayner or your daughter until further notice. You need to vacate the premises within the hour." I stared at him. The words did not register at first. They echoed, detached, like they had been said underwater. Amanda? A restraining order? My wife, who sent me care packages every month I was deployed. Who cried on the phone when I said I missed Lily's birthday again. Who ended every call with "Come home safe. We love you." I signed the papers. My hand barely worked. I looked up at the stairs. Lily's door was closed. I could not even say goodbye. The deputy followed protocol. "Watch me pack." Silent, eyes down. I walked out of the house I had paid for with Warzone blood money. As I stepped off the porch, I saw Amanda's silver SUV pull into the driveway. She got out of the car like nothing happened. She wore that fake, polished smile she used at the hospital when talking to nervous parents. "Do not make a scene, Luke," she said. "This is what is best for everyone." That was the moment I realized something terrible. She had planned this. She had waited until I was home, then struck with precision. But what Amanda did not know, what she could not have known, was that our daughter had already found my deployment audio logs. And Lily had sent them to the court. Everything she built with lies? It was about to come down. Wait, I need to tell you something important. Have you ever realized that you keep watching my videos but haven't subscribed yet? This video has reached this point, which means you're enjoying it. So why not subscribe? I have a big goal, 10,000 subscribers, and you can help me reach it. Think about it. If you don't subscribe now, you might miss my next big video. This is the moment. Hit that subscribe button now. Do it now. And don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss out. I know you'll do it. And when we hit 10,000 subscribers, I have a special surprise for you. Now let's continue story. 3 months earlier, under a tarp-covered tent in Kandahar, I sat with a rifle across my lap and a microphone in my hand. "Hey, Lily," I whispered into the recorder. "Today was rough. We lost a guy. Young. 22. He bled out fast. I thought of you. Of our backyard. Remember the treehouse? I wonder if it is still standing. I will be home soon, baby girl. I promise." Each night, I sent Lily an audio letter. Some were short, tired. Some ran 20 minutes. I poured every ounce of my soul into them. I never sent Amanda anything that raw. Somewhere along the line, I had stopped trusting her with my truths. I blamed the war for that. I was wrong. The silence during her calls. The way she rushed off the phone. The distance in her voice when I said, "I love you." All of it made sense now. It was not the war. It was Tyler. He was my brother in arms. We shared foxholes, rations, secrets. And he was sharing my wife. I first noticed the pattern in the GPS app connected to Amanda's new SUV. The car went to a gated address at odd hours, Tyler's address. The one he moved into alone after his divorce. At first, I wanted to believe it was coincidence. Maybe she was helping him with something. Maybe it was nothing. But nothing does not leave lipstick on a coffee cup in someone else's kitchen. The day I came home, I took a detour. I parked down the street, walked to Tyler's window. I stood there like a ghost, watching. Amanda laughed in his arms. She had not smiled like that with me in years. That was when something inside me broke, not in rage, but in cold, precise clarity. I walked away, and when I returned home, I did not say a word. She thought I was clueless. She thought she could control the story. But she forgot I am a soldier. And soldiers always plan. Lily always noticed things. More than Amanda gave her credit for. She knew I kept my promises. And when I stopped calling, she knew something was wrong. Amanda fed her lies like medicine. Your father is sick. The war messed him up. He is unstable, honey. But Lily was not a fool. She found my old laptop buried in the closet. Password protected, but I used her birthday. The same one Amanda forgot last year. Inside, Lily found the folder. Audio logs, hours of them. Labeled by date, by emotion. She pressed play, and what she heard destroyed the version of me Amanda had built in her lies. Hi, sweetheart. I watched the sun go down behind a broken building today. I imagined it was setting over our street. Over your bedroom window. I am still here, Lily. I have not given up. She cried. She listened for 3 hours straight. She heard fear. She heard grief. She heard love. She did not hear a dangerous man. She heard her father. So Lily did something Amanda never expected. She backed them up. All of them. Then she logged into Amanda's court portal, the same one her mother used to file the restraining order. She uploaded the files. Every single one. Attached to the case. Tagged as character evidence. Amanda thought she had built an airtight lie, but Lily had cracked it wide open. And she had done it with the one weapon Amanda could never see coming. The truth. Tyler Moore was not just a friend. He was family. We had been in Iraq together. We watched a kid bleed out in Fallujah. We carried his body 2 miles because the trucks would not make it through. We buried him with our hands. Tyler was there when Lily was born. He handed me the cigar outside the hospital and said, "You are not a soldier anymore. You are a father now." I believed that man would die for me. I never imagined he would sleep with my wife. The night before I shipped out for my 3rd tour, Tyler stayed for dinner. Amanda made steak, the good kind. Lily showed him her school project. He laughed, told her she was brilliant. We drank beers on the porch like nothing was wrong. Like he had not already crossed the line. Because it had started before then. I learned this the hard way, weeks later, when Tyler's ex-wife messaged me out of nowhere. "I am sorry. I should have told you sooner," she wrote. Attached were screenshots. Amanda and Tyler. Text messages. Photos. Dates that went back over 2 years. "You leaving again this week?" Amanda had texted him. "I miss waking up next to you. He does not deserve you." I could not breathe. They were together before Tyler's divorce. They were together when Amanda swore she was working overtime. When I thought she was burning out from hospital shifts. They were planning something. Something bigger than just betrayal. Because in one message Amanda wrote, "Once the court thinks he is unstable, it is over. The house. The custody. All of it." Tyler replied with a thumbs-up emoji. It was not just cheating. It was war. And they had fired the first shot. I stayed quiet. That was the part Amanda never counted on. She thought I would explode. That I would punch a wall. That I would scream in public and make myself look unstable. But war teaches you something. When the enemy wants chaos, you give them silence. I began documenting everything. I downloaded the GPS logs from Amanda's SUV. Mapped every visit to Tyler's house. Timestamped it. Matched it against her claimed work hours. I printed the texts from Tyler's ex-wife. I hired a forensic accountant, a guy who works with deployed soldiers to catch financial abuse. In 2 weeks, he uncovered thousands of dollars in personal expenses Amanda had billed to our joint account while I was overseas. Jewelry, hotel rooms, Uber rides in the middle of the night. She thought I would be too broken to fight, but I was just getting started. I met with a lawyer. She was ex-military too, hard as nails. After I laid out everything, she looked me dead in the eye and said, "This is going to be a battle, but if we play this right, we bury her case in truth." We filed a counter motion, requested a full financial audit, requested shared custody pending investigation, requested the court review the audio files Lily uploaded. Amanda was notified the next day. She called me. First time since the restraining order. "You think this is going to work? You are still gone. You are not the man she needs." I did not say anything. She hung up. Silence was louder. Let her squirm. Because the moment the truth starts knocking, lies do not answer the door. Amanda had perfected the art of lying in small doses. To the neighbors, he is struggling with anger. War does things to people. To her sister, we are separating. He is not safe anymore. To Lily, this is temporary, baby. Daddy is just confused. But truth has a pulse. And Amanda forgot that lies eventually bleed out. Lily asked questions. Why did you file a restraining order? Amanda hesitated. Because I needed to feel safe. But why now? He just got back. I had to. That was not an answer. Lily knew it. She was watching Amanda more closely now. How she jumped when the phone buzzed. How she flinched when Lily mentioned Tyler. How she silenced every notification like it was a bomb about to go off. One night, Lily stood in the hallway outside Amanda's bedroom. Amanda was on the phone. He is lawyered up now. I did not think he would push back. Just deny everything. Stick to the PTSD story. Pause. No. Tyler, I am not coming over. Not tonight. She is starting to ask questions. Lily's stomach flipped. She went back to her room and sat in silence. Then she opened her phone and recorded a message. For the court. For whoever needs to hear it. My mom is lying. My dad is not dangerous. I heard her admit it. Amanda did not know the kind of daughter she had raised. Because while Amanda was busy scripting her fantasy courtroom victory, Lily was building something stronger than any lie. Evidence. Amanda stood in front of the bathroom mirror, applying mascara with surgeon-like precision. The early morning light filtered through the frosted glass, softening her reflection. But no amount of sunlight could hide the storm behind her eyes. She had always been composed, always in control. But now her hands trembled. It started with little things, forgotten lies, odd glances from Lily, questions she was not ready for. The court had responded to Luke's countermotion faster than she expected. There would be a hearing. A judge would listen to the files. Her hands trembled more at that thought. Luke's voice. Real. Raw. Sober. No yelling. No threats. Only love. And loss. Lily had barely spoken to her since the court filing. Not with the same softness. Did you see Dad's messages? Amanda asked, standing at Lily's door. Silence. I heard one. Lily said without opening the door. The one where he talks about the treehouse. Amanda leaned her head against the doorframe. He's not who you think he is, Lily. He changed out there. War? You changed here, Lily replied coldly. He was in a war zone. What's your excuse? Amanda felt the sting like a slap. She walked away. In the quiet of her room, she opened her phone. Scrolled to a contact labeled T. Amanda, she knows something. I think she's listening in. Tyler, then shut her down. Fast. Or we both burn. Amanda stared at the screen. She always believed she could manipulate people, spin narratives, stay ahead. But the mirror showed her what was really happening. She was cracking, and cracks always spread. The law office was tucked inside a weathered brick building downtown. 3 floors up, no elevator, just the kind of place where people fight for truth one file at a time. Luke sat across from Marlene Ortiz, his attorney. Decorated jag. Fierce reputation. She slid a thick manila folder across the table. This is everything we have so far. Timeline of the affair. Financial discrepancies. GPS data. Surveillance footage. And she tapped a flash drive beside the folder. Your audio logs. These are the heart of the case. Luke nodded, jaw clenched. And Amanda? He asked. She has no idea what's coming, Marlene said. But she will. Luke opened the folder. Photo stills. Hotel receipts. The stolen funds report. One image stopped him cold. It was Amanda, smiling, in Tyler's truck, wearing Luke's hoodie, the same one he had left at home when he deployed. Do you want to include this? Marlene asked. Luke's eyes narrowed. Yes. She made her bed in my clothes. Let the court see it. They moved through the files methodically. Every detail had a place. Every truth carried weight. She will play the victim, Marlene warned. She will cry. Say you scared her. Maybe even deny everything until she is cornered. Luke nodded slowly. She can lie. But my daughter knows who I am now. That's what matters. Marlene smiled. She is your best witness. Luke stood, folder in hand. The weight was physical now. Truth was heavy, but he was strong enough to carry it. The gym smelled like metal, sweat, and regret. Tyler slammed the punching bag with a fury that drew glances. His knuckles were raw. His mind was racing. Amanda had called 3 times. He had ignored all of them. He knew what this was turning into. He had seen it before, soldiers caught up in scandals, thinking they were too clever, too slippery to fall. But Luke was not reacting like they expected. He was smart, controlled, strategic. Tyler's phone buzzed again. Amanda, he has a lawyer. A good one. That woman scares me. Tyler texted back with shaky thumbs. Tyler, delete everything. Burn the journals. I'll do the same. He paused. Was it already too late? The court hearing was days away. Amanda was unraveling. And Lily. Lily was a wild card they never expected. Tyler threw another punch. The bag swung wildly. He had played his cards wrong. And now the game was not just about betrayal. It was about exposure. His dishonorable discharge would not just end his career, it would ruin him. And Amanda? She would sell him out the moment things got tight. Just like she had sold Luke lies wrapped in vows. Tyler stared at his reflection in the gym's broken mirror. I should have stayed out of it, he muttered. But it was far too late for that. Amanda found the letter in the mailbox. At first glance, it looked like any other envelope. White, official, unassuming. But her name was printed in bold across the front. She tore it open with one hand, her coffee sloshing slightly in the other. A single sheet of paper inside. Standard formatting. But the words? They knocked the air out of her chest. Notice of evidentiary hearing, custody, and financial review date. Friday, 10 a.m. Judge, Honorable C. Delaney. Attached, motion to lift restraining order. Exhibits, AG. Amanda's eyes skimmed faster. Her hands started to sweat. Then she saw it. Exhibit D. Deployment audio logs. Exhibit F. GPS tracking data. Exhibit G. Private financial audit. Her fingers tightened around the paper. Lily. She called up the stairs, forcing cheer into her voice. Do you want waffles this morning? No response. She walked into the kitchen, slammed the paper on the counter, and tried to catch her breath. The walls felt like they were shrinking. Every lie she told, every smug assumption, suddenly felt exposed. Amanda reached for her phone. Called Tyler. Voicemail. She called again. Still nothing. She dropped the phone on the counter. It buzzed. A message popped up from her sister. Did you really file a restraining order to keep him out? What's happening, Amanda? Even her family was starting to question her. This was not how it was supposed to go. She was supposed to control the narrative. But the court was coming. And Luke was not backing down. The courtroom smelled like wood polish and tension. Luke sat in his pressed blue suit, jaw firm, eyes forward. Lily sat 2 rows behind him, headphones on, eyes locked on Amanda. She was not a child today. She was a witness. Amanda entered 30 seconds late. She wore a navy blazer, her hair pinned tight, her expression carefully manufactured, half remorse, half fear. The judge looked up. We will hear the motion to lift the restraining order and review the associated evidence, Judge Delaney said, scanning the room. All exhibits have been reviewed in advance, but I would like to hear from the minor's legal guardian first. Amanda's lawyer stood, spoke about trauma, emotional strain. Her voice shook slightly when she mentioned Luke's military history. Luke remained still. Mr. Rayner, the judge said, you may respond. He stood slowly, cleared his throat, then pressed play on the speaker. His voice, gentle, tired, sincere, filled the room. Hi, Lily. It's 2:14 a.m. I can't sleep again. Too many things I miss about home. The smell of pancakes, your laugh, Amanda humming in the kitchen. I still hope it is real. I still hope you're safe. There was a pause, then another recording, and another, each one peeling away Amanda's narrative. By the time he reached the 5th file, Amanda's eyes were glossy. Her lawyer scribbled notes furiously. Luke ended with one final clip. They say war changes you. But for me, love never did. I still believe in my family. even if I come home to find it broken." Silence fell. Then the judge looked at Amanda. "Ms. Rayner, I have reviewed your claims. I have now heard these recordings. Would you like to respond?" Amanda opened her mouth, closed it. For the first time, she had no script. Amanda left the courthouse without speaking to anyone. She barely made it to her car before slamming the door shut and locking it. Her hands clutched the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping her grounded. This was slipping. The plan was collapsing. Luke was not supposed to be this composed. Lily was not supposed to betray her. And the court? They were not supposed to care about some dusty audio files from the desert. But they did. Amanda stared at her reflection in the rearview mirror. Her makeup was perfect, but her eyes were swollen. She had not slept in 3 days. Tyler was ducking her calls. Her job at the clinic was now under review due to ongoing legal complications. Even her co-workers were whispering. Then came the real punch. A new email from HR. "Pending hearing results, we are placing you on unpaid administrative leave effective immediately." She screamed. Not loudly, not violently, just a single, helpless, broken sound that came from somewhere deep inside and barely made it past her lips. Everything was unraveling. She pulled out her phone, scrolled through old photos. Luke holding Lily in the hospital. Family beach trips. Her wearing that hoodie, his hoodie, beside Tyler's truck. Amanda zoomed in on her own face. That smile. It was fake. Even then, a tap on her window startled her. She looked up. It was Tyler. He looked worse than her. Beard unshaven, face drawn, clothes wrinkled. "You said this would be easy," he said flatly. "You said you would back me up." Amanda fired back. "I did. But now, I'm done. I'm not going down for you." He turned and walked away. Amanda sat in her car, heart racing, and realized something she had never truly considered before. She was alone, and this time, no lie could save her. Amanda sat on the edge of her bed, legs tucked beneath her, phone clutched like a lifeline. Her sister, Megan, had not answered any of her calls for days. Amanda had left voicemails, pleading, threatening, apologizing, rewriting the truth in a dozen desperate tones. But Megan knew better, because Amanda had dragged her into this mess from the beginning. Flashback, 8 months earlier. Amanda and Megan sat in a quiet diner, low lights flickering above them. "He's coming back again," Amanda had said, stirring her coffee with too much force. "I cannot do this anymore. He's intense. I feel like I cannot breathe around him." Megan frowned. "Amanda, that man has never laid a finger on you. He literally sends bedtime recordings from halfway across the world." Amanda leaned in. "Listen, if I file for a protection order, will you back me up? Just say you've seen things." Tension. His temper. Something small. Just enough. Megan stared at her. "You are asking me to lie. About a soldier. About your husband." Amanda said nothing, and Megan walked out. Now, back in the present, Megan's text came through. "You lied to the court. You lied to Lily. Do not ever ask me to lie for you again." Amanda threw the phone across the room. It cracked on the corner of the nightstand. Like everything else in her life, her circle was shrinking, and there were no more people left to manipulate. It was raining when Lily stood outside the courthouse. She had come alone. Luke had wanted to drive her, but she needed to do this by herself. She stepped inside and handed over a sealed envelope to the front desk. "To be added to case Rayner versus Rayner," she said quietly. Inside that envelope was her written statement. 4 pages. Typed. Signed. Notarized. In it, Lily told the court about the night she overheard Amanda's call with Tyler. About the GPS log she had seen on the family tablet. About the morning her mother threw away Luke's care package unopened. She included audio evidence, screenshots, even a voice memo Amanda had accidentally recorded, mocking Luke's PTSD in a joking tone to a friend. Lily's voice, calm but certain, echoed in the halls as she left the statement behind. "My mother lied to hurt my father. I am not afraid of him. I am afraid of her." Outside, she stood in the rain. It did not feel cold. It felt honest. Luke picked her up 10 minutes later. Said nothing. Just reached over and took her hand. She squeezed back. They were in this together now. And Amanda? She would never see this coming. Amanda walked into her hospital shift with her head low and badge turned inward. Something had shifted. She could feel it in every hallway. The nurses who used to joke with her now whispered behind clipboards. Parents she had treated for years no longer smiled in the lobby. A child's father pulled his son closer when Amanda walked by. In the staff lounge, the TV was on mute, but the headlines screamed loud. Veteran's daughter exposes false abuse allegations in viral court statement. The photo beneath it? Lily and Luke, side by side. Amanda felt her knees weaken. She sat down, staring at the screen. Then, a soft voice behind her. You need to leave. It was Dr. Rivera, her supervisor. We cannot have this kind of scandal here, Amanda. Not with the board breathing down our necks. The parents are scared. Amanda opened her mouth. But he shook his head. You built this mess. Deal with it. She walked out the back door. Through the rain. Through the echo of her own shame. No job. No allies. Just a name. Amanda Rayner, now trending online. And the comments section was brutal. She weaponized the law. She almost destroyed a hero. She's the reason people do not believe real victims. Amanda turned her phone off. Because sometimes silence does not comfort you. It devours you. Luke stood in the garage, the lights dim, his breath visible in the cold air. Tools hung on the walls like military awards. Precision, discipline, readiness. He was not just building a case anymore. He was building an ending. On the workbench sat an open laptop, a spiral notebook, and a black binder. Inside the binder, timelines, witness names, message logs, financial records, his war manual. He turned to Lily, who sat on the work stool beside him, clutching a flash drive. This has the new audio clip, she said. The one where she says you're just in narrative. Her word. Luke nodded. That's the one I'll play last. The gut punch. He had enlisted the help of Marlene again. But this time, it was not just legal. It was strategy. Amanda had relied on whispers and shadows. But Luke? He believed in records. Facts. Receipts. We have everything we need, Marlene had told him. This is not just about clearing your name anymore. It is about exposing a pattern. It is about showing the court she exploited the system. Luke stared at the family photo pinned to the wall, one taken years ago. Amanda's smile was flawless. But now it looked fake, polished and poisonous. He picked up a pen and circled 3 names. 1. Tyler Moore, co-conspirator. 2. Amanda Rayner, false accuser. 3. Judge Delaney, the one who would hear it all. Luke closed the binder. She tried to take my life from me, he said quietly. Now I'm giving it back to her, piece by piece. Lily looked at him. Are you scared? Luke paused. I was. But not anymore. Because the truth's not a weapon, Lily. It's a wrecking ball. Vincent Shaw had a face like a closed door, silent, unreadable, and hard. Luke found him through a veterans network. Discreet. Ruthless. Former Army intelligence. They met at a barbecue joint off the interstate. No names. No handshakes. I need someone who knows how to pull threads, Luke had said, sliding over a small envelope. Shaw opened it. Inside were the names, Amanda Rayner, Tyler Moore, dates, phone numbers. He raised an eyebrow. You want full exposure or surgical? Surgical, Luke replied. I do not want shock. I want structure. I want them buried in evidence, not noise. Shaw nodded. 2 weeks later, Shaw delivered a thumb drive. 1 folder, dozens of documents, and a video file. Luke opened it on his laptop back in the garage. There was Amanda, walking out of a motel room with Tyler, midday, dressed in hospital scrubs. Time-stamped. Labeled. Another clip, Amanda laughing at a dinner table. A waitress walks by. Amanda slips her a $50 and whispers, just say he got aggressive. The guy's got anger problems. The waitress nods. Luke's heart pounded. Amanda had planted stories, bought words, and smiled through it all. In another file was Tyler's banking activity, suspicious deposits. One traced back to Amanda's joint account, labeled miscellaneous household. It was all there. More than enough. He looked at Shaw, who sat silently on the other end of the call. I assume you'll know what to do with this, Shaw said. Luke stared at the screen, rage cold in his blood. Oh, I do, he replied. And so did the court. Tyler sat at a dive bar outside town, staring at the bottom of his fourth whiskey. His phone buzzed again. He ignored it. Amanda was unraveling, and now she wanted him to go down with her. He was done, but fate was not finished with him yet. The bar TV was playing a local news segment on mute, captions scrolling across the bottom. Court to hear full evidence in Rayner case. New testimony from daughter, digital investigator. A photo appeared on screen. Luke and Lily again. Tyler groaned. The bartender leaned in. Hey man, that you? Tyler froze. What? The guy pointed at the screen. That woman, your ex? She's all over Reddit. Crazy story. You were with her. Tyler threw cash on the bar and stumbled out into the rain. As he reached his car, his phone rang again. It was Amanda. He answered. You need to deny everything, she snapped. We can still say it was a misunderstanding. That Luke is manipulating. No. Tyler interrupted, voice low, dangerous. You lied to me. You used me. I'm not going to jail for you. You think he's going to protect you? Amanda hissed. He'll drag you down with me. Then I'll testify first, Tyler said, and hung up. Inside his glove compartment, he pulled out a USB. He had been recording Amanda for weeks. Insurance. Now, it was his ticket out. Amanda thought she still had leverage. But Tyler was the final domino. And he was falling. Amanda sat in her car outside a drugstore parking lot, her fingers trembling over the screen. She had no tears left. Just silence. She had not eaten in a day. Her phone battery was dying. The only thing keeping her from falling apart completely was the hope that maybe, somehow, Tyler would stay loyal. But that hope shattered when she opened her inbox. Subject, statement for court hearing. Tyler Moore. She read it twice, blinking hard. Attached was a formal affidavit. Signed. Dated. Tyler had flipped. He admitted to the affair. He admitted Amanda had suggested framing Luke. He admitted she paid people to exaggerate Luke's temper to build a narrative in court. Amanda dropped the phone in her lap. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it might crack a rib. The email had been CC'd to her attorney. Her attorney had responded with one line. We will be withdrawing representation immediately. Amanda leaned forward, pressing her forehead against the steering wheel. No attorney. No job. No support. No cover. For the first time in her life, Amanda Rayner understood what it meant to be truly alone. Luke stared at the courthouse ceiling, hands folded in his lap. Marlene sat beside him, calm, calculating. Across the aisle, Amanda sat alone, pale, hollow, her once flawless composure now barely holding. The courtroom buzzed with quiet tension. Marlene leaned in. She has no representation. She's going to try to spin sympathy. Luke nodded. She does not know what sympathy looks like anymore. A bailiff approached. Court will begin in 5 minutes. Luke stood, smoothed his jacket, and glanced back at Lily. She gave him a small, confident nod. Tyler arrived next, flanked by his own attorney. He avoided Amanda's eyes. Instead, he walked over to Luke and said the words that left the room holding its breath. I'm testifying today. Against her. All of it. Luke looked him dead in the eyes. Not for me. For Lily. Tyler nodded once. Quiet. Ashamed. Then the door opened. The judge entered. Everyone stood. This was it. The moment Amanda's house of lies would be stripped down, beam by beam, until only truth was left standing. Judge Delaney sat with a steel gaze. Her gavel struck wood. The courtroom went silent. We are here today to address matters in case Rayner versus Rayner. Custody, financial review, and the validity of previous legal claims. Amanda was called to the stand first. She looked smaller than ever before. Her voice barely rose above a whisper as she tried to explain, to backpedal, to recast the story. I was scared, she said. He had changed. He was different. Marlene rose like a storm in a silk blouse. Your Honor, I'd like to enter 3 exhibits. GPS logs showing Ms. Rayner at Mr. Moore's residence over 30 times during her husband's deployment, a recording of her suggesting narrative fabrication, and finally, the testimony of Mr. Tyler Moore. The judge nodded. Proceed. Tyler walked slowly to the stand. His voice was steady, cold. Amanda told me we had to get ahead of the truth. That Luke was too controlled, too quiet. She said we needed noise. He paused, swallowed. She weaponized the truth, twisted it, and I helped her. But I am done lying. Amanda's hands clenched the edge of the table. Why now? The judge asked Tyler. Because he's a better man than I ever was. And Lily? She deserves a father, not a narrative. The judge nodded. Next, Luke stood. No fanfare, no theatrics. He looked at Amanda for only a second before speaking. I have fought for my country. But this is the hardest thing I've ever had to fight for. I did not want revenge. I wanted peace. She gave me war. So I responded like any soldier would, with facts, with patience, and with purpose. He pressed play on Lily's final clip. Amanda's voice rang out in the courtroom. The system's easy to play when they think you're scared. All you need is the right buzzwords. Gasps. Audible shock. Judge Delaney's expression did not change. She simply said, ruling will be delivered tomorrow. Court is adjourned. And just like that, Amanda Rayner's lies were not whispers anymore. They were public record. The courtroom was silent as Judge Delaney re-entered, verdict in hand. Amanda's eyes darted everywhere but forward. She twisted a tissue in her lap, her lips trembling, waiting for a miracle that would not come. Luke sat still, upright, the only movement coming from his fingers brushing Lily's hand. The judge's voice broke the silence. After careful review of the evidence, including sworn testimonies, forensic documentation, and electronic communications, the court finds the restraining order filed against Mr. Luke Rayner to be unsubstantiated and rooted in manipulation and falsehood. Amanda flinched. The judge continued. Full custody is hereby granted to Mr. Rayner. Ms. Amanda Rayner will be granted supervised visitation only, contingent upon counseling and further evaluation. Amanda's mouth parted in disbelief. Gasps from the gallery. Even her own sister, Megan, seated in the back, nodded solemnly. But the judge was not finished. This court will also be referring the matter of perjury and evidence tampering to the district attorney's office for potential criminal prosecution. Amanda's body jerked. Her lawyer, who had returned at the last moment only to observe, buried his face in his hands. Luke did not smile. He simply nodded. Because for him, this was not about victory. It was about truth. As they stood to leave, Lily leaned into her father. She's finally getting what she gave you. Luke looked down at her. No, she's getting what she gave herself. Chapter 23. Headlines and Hellfire by Noon. Amanda's name was everywhere. Court strips custody from local nurse after false abuse allegations. Army veteran vindicated after daughter exposes mother's lies. Reddit threads exploded. Twitter turned savage. Screenshots of Amanda's text messages. Clips from court audio. A side-by-side of her social media smile and her tear-stained courtroom collapse. She had deleted all her accounts by the end of the day. But the internet never forgets. At the pharmacy, people whispered. At the grocery store, she caught 3 strangers recording her. Even the neighbors who once shared block parties now crossed the street when she walked by. By the 3rd day, her home had been egged. And then came the letter. Typed. No return address. You used the law like a weapon. Now live with what you did. Amanda clutched the paper with shaking hands. She had thought she would get attention. She had not expected the world to turn on her. And this was just the beginning. Luke stood in Lily's new room. Smaller, quieter, but theirs. They were staying at his sister's until they could move into a place of their own. Lily had picked out pale green walls and shelves for her sketchbooks, a blank canvas for a future she finally trusted. She placed a photo on the desk, not of Amanda, but of her and Luke, laughing, messy hair, pancake batter on their noses. "I want this to be the first thing I see every morning," she said. Luke looked at her. Really looked. She was not the little girl he left behind years ago. She was the woman who helped save him. He sat on the edge of the bed. "You saved my life," he said quietly. "Not just in court. You reminded me who I am." Lily smiled. "You saved mine first. So we are even." They made a pact that night. To never let lies run their lives again. To speak, even when it hurt. To build a life with no more secrets. A week later, Luke got a message from an unknown number. He almost deleted it. But curiosity won. It was a voicemail. "You do not know me, but I work in legal admin at Amanda's former clinic. She left something behind. I thought you should hear it." Attached was an audio clip. Amanda's voice, sharper, less rehearsed. "I do not care if the kid hears me. He's a coward. He's always been soft. That's why I picked him. Because I knew I could break him when the time came." Click. Luke stared at the screen. That voice, the venom, the calculation, was not just a reveal. It was insurance. Amanda had made enemies deeper than she knew. He forwarded the file to Marlene. The war might have ended in court. But karma? She had just cleared her throat. Amanda sat at the kitchen table of her sister's apartment, the clock ticking louder than it had any right to. It had been 10 days since the courtroom humiliation, since the job loss, since her name became poison in every search bar. She had not been outside in 3. The knock came at exactly 9:03 a.m. 2 men in plain clothes stood on the other side of the door, badges visible, expressions blank. "Amanda Rayner?" She nodded. "You are being formally served. A grand jury has approved an indictment for perjury, fraudulent evidence submission, and obstruction of justice. You will need to appear before the district court on Monday." Amanda's breath hitched. This is a mistake," she whispered, palms shaking. The taller agent pulled a file from his coat and handed it to her. "This is the compiled evidence. You have legal rights, and you are strongly advised to use them. We will be in contact." They left without ceremony. Amanda stood alone in the living room, folder in hand, fingers trembling. Inside, transcripts of text messages, Tyler's signed testimony, forensic timestamps of doctored documents, and the voicemail she never knew had been recorded. She dropped to her knees as the truth settled in. This was not about her losing. It was about finally being seen for what she had become. And this time, there was no spinning the story. Luke and Lily toured the new house together, an old ranch-style place on the outskirts of Nashville. Nothing flashy, but it had a backyard, a porch swing, and a study Lily could turn into her own studio. Luke opened the creaky front door and let her step in first. She smiled at the hardwood floor. "It smells like possibility." Luke chuckled. "That's either hope or old paint." She spun around, arms wide. "I love it." Later, they unpacked slowly. Luke set down a photo of his unit from his last deployment. Behind it, he slipped in a folded copy of the court's final ruling, like a badge, hidden in plain sight. That night, they sat on the porch. The sky bruised purple with dusk. "I feel like I can breathe again," Lily said. "You are allowed to," Luke replied. "This is your space now." "No more whispering," she added. "No more silence," he agreed. They watched a pair of deer step through the edge of the yard. Quiet, unafraid. For the first time in years, Luke realized what he was feeling. Peace. And this time, he was not afraid of it. Amanda was curled up on her sister's couch when her phone buzzed. Unknown sender. No subject. Just a video file. She almost deleted it. But something made her tap. The clip opened with a title card. "Karma always has receipts." Then it played a montage, stitched from court recordings, news headlines, her own leaked voicemails. The background? Luke's voice from his deployment tapes. "Even in darkness, I kept faith. I kept loving the people who made home feel like something worth fighting for." Her voice cut in, sharp, mocking. He's too dumb to fight back. Then the video ended. Nothing else. No threat. No blackmail. Just exposure. Amanda's hands shook as she realized what it was. Someone, maybe Shaw, maybe someone else entirely, had sent it viral. She checked her socials, her email, even an anonymous message board. The video had 1 million views. People were quoting her words with disgust. Her own voice had become evidence again, but this time, it was public opinion doing the sentencing. She slammed her laptop shut, but it was too late. She had tried to control a story. Now she was just another chapter in someone else's. And the world? It had already turned the page. The courtroom was smaller than the last one, but the weight in the air felt heavier. Amanda sat at the defense table, flanked by a state-appointed attorney. Her once straight posture was now slouched, shoulders drawn tight like a shrinking shell. The prosecutor stood before the judge and jury, a thin file in his hand, confidence radiating from his stance. Your Honor, the evidence is not just clear. It is deliberate. This was not a misunderstanding. It was an intentional orchestration of lies, designed to weaponize the justice system. He paused and looked toward Amanda. She sought to remove a father from his daughter's life under false pretenses. She endangered his reputation, his mental health, and nearly his military standing, all while maintaining a secret affair and financial deception. Amanda looked down at her hands. She could feel the eyes on her. The judge flipped through the binder slowly, then leaned forward. Ms. Rayner, perjury is a felony. So is obstruction. And in this court, weaponizing legal protection laws undermines justice for real victims. Amanda tried to speak. Her voice cracked. I was scared. The judge raised a hand. Of what, Ms. Rayner? The truth. The room fell silent. The gavel dropped once. A sentencing date was set. Amanda would no longer be Amanda Rayner, respected nurse and mother. She would be case number 28-573C, awaiting judgment. 3 days later, Luke stood on a stage. It was not a courtroom. It was a town hall filled with veterans, reporters, and families. Behind him, a banner read, "Reclaiming Honor, Veterans Against False Accusations." He had been invited to speak, not because he was loud, but because he had survived it all with silence and facts. He stepped to the mic, took a breath, and began. I did not ask for this fight. I wore the uniform to protect the truth. I never imagined I would need to defend it inside my own home. Every eye was on him. I have no hate left for the woman who lied. I have no anger left for the man who betrayed me. What I have is this: proof that silence can be strength, and that truth does not need to shout. It just needs to be heard. The crowd stood. Applause thundered through the hall. Later, as Luke stepped off stage, a man in uniform stopped him. My brother went through something similar. Nobody believed him. Until now. Luke shook his hand firmly. The truth had not only saved him. It had become a lifeline for others. Amanda sat in the jail's temporary holding cell, knees pulled to her chest, cold concrete beneath her. She had been processed, fingerprinted, her name filed under criminal offense. Her court date was still weeks away, but already she was facing the reality she had built. One of the officers walked by, paused, then muttered under his breath, "I've seen your video. My wife showed it to me. Said you're the reason people second-guess real survivors." Amanda did not respond. She had no defense left. Her name, once whispered with sympathy, was now spoken like a warning. Across online forums, she was known as a case study. On legal websites, her ruling was being cited as precedent for abuse of protective orders. In courtrooms she had never stepped foot in, lawyers now said things like, "Your Honor, let us not forget Amanda Rayner." Amanda covered her face with her hands. No one would say her name with kindness again, not even her daughter. Lily sat alone at her desk, the soft tap of rain outside her window syncing with the rhythm of her pen. She had written and rewritten the letter 5 times. But tonight, she would finish it. "Dear Amanda," she paused. "Not Mom. Not anymore." That word held too much weight and too little meaning now. You taught me things I never wanted to learn. You taught me what a lie sounds like when it's dressed in love. What manipulation feels like when it's wrapped in family. She blinked away a tear. But I also learned what strength looks like, from Dad. From the truth. From sitting in courtrooms, watching you crumble under the weight of the things you said when you thought no one was listening. She tapped the pen once. I do not hate you. I just do not believe in you anymore. And I cannot trust someone who turned my life into a performance just to hurt someone who loved us both. She looked at the final line. Do not contact me again. Let this be the last thing between us. Lily, she sealed the envelope, addressed it to the jail. Then she placed it on her nightstand and turned off the lamp. That night, she slept without nightmares, because she had finally spoken her truth. Luke was fixing the front gate when the knock came. It was soft, hesitant. He wiped his hands, unsure who would be visiting unannounced. When he opened the door, Megan stood there, Amanda's sister. Her eyes were red, her face tired, but her voice was steady. Can we talk? Luke nodded once and stepped aside. They sat at the kitchen table, the hum of the fridge the only sound between them at first. I came to say something Amanda never will, Megan said. I am sorry. For what she did. For what I didn't stop. Luke studied her. You don't owe me anything, he said quietly. I do, she replied. You gave her love, and she gave you poison. And Lily, she deserved better from all of us. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small folder. She left this, before the indictment. It's not much, but she wrote something. I thought you should have it. Luke hesitated, took it. Inside were pages, journal entries, fragments, guilt scattered in ink. One line stood out. I never thought he'd fight back. I never thought he'd win. But I was wrong. And now I see what he protected was never his pride. It was Lily. Luke closed the folder. Megan stood to leave. But before she walked out, she turned and said, Lily's lucky. She still has the parent who never lied. Amanda read Lily's letter 3 times. Each word felt like a mirror reflecting everything she had lost. No one had spoken to her in 5 days. Her lawyer had sent only one message. Prepare for sentencing. She folded the letter and tucked it into the pocket of her jumpsuit. Later that night, in the corner of her cell, she wrote something in the blank margins of an old Bible left behind by another inmate. I did all of this trying to control a man I didn't understand. And I lost the only people who ever gave me something real. She underlined the next words with shaky hands. I cannot fix this. I cannot undo it. But I know now I was wrong. And sometimes, karma is not just punishment. It's clarity. She closed the book. Not in peace. Not in redemption. But in silence. Because forgiveness is not something she could earn anymore. It would exist, if it ever came, without her permission. Amanda was led into the courtroom in cuffs. Not because she was a danger, but because that was protocol now. And nothing stung more than knowing this was who she had become. The courtroom was not full. Just a few reporters. A quiet prosecutor. And Luke. He sat near the back. Calm. Lily was not there. This was not her battle anymore. The judge entered and spoke with crisp finality. Ms. Amanda Rayner, you have been found guilty of perjury, evidence tampering, and malicious misuse of the legal system. Your actions undermine the very institutions meant to protect the vulnerable. Amanda did not cry. She had done that already. Alone. Night after night. The judge continued. Considering your lack of prior offenses and dependent history, the court sentences you to 18 months incarceration, followed by 24 months supervised probation. You are also ordered to attend court-mandated psychological counseling. Amanda's breath left her like a ghost. The gavel dropped. It was over. No gasps. No tears. Just the sound of the bailiff's footsteps behind her. As she was led away, she glanced back. Luke did not look at her. And somehow, that was the hardest sentence of all. Luke never wanted to be a public figure. But something inside him knew the story was bigger than just survival. It was about legacy. He called the podcast After Silence. The first episode dropped on a Monday. It was raw, real, just him in a quiet room, speaking directly to the kind of man he used to be, the kind who thought silence meant strength. I used to believe that if you loved someone, you protected them at all costs, even from their own darkness. But love, real love, has boundaries. And when someone breaks those, you do not protect them. You protect yourself. The episode hit 200,000 listens by the weekend. Veterans wrote in. Fathers wrote in. Even strangers. He read every message. One line stuck with him. You helped me believe I wasn't crazy. That the truth matters, even when it's quiet. Luke sat back, stared at the mic, and smiled faintly. This was not revenge. This was redemption. Lily stood in her new room, the paint still fresh. A soft sky blue covered the walls now. The old trauma was gone, ripped down with every stroke of the brush. She was hanging posters, lyrics she had written, sketches, pieces of herself that had been buried for years. Luke passed by the door and paused. You need help? She grinned. Nah, I got this. He stepped inside anyway. She pointed to the last item, a framed photo. It was from the town hall speech. Him, standing tall. Her, smiling beside him. Feels different, she said. Not like running away. Like starting something. Luke nodded. You are building something honest. She took his hand and placed it over her heart. From now on, I follow this. Not fear. Not guilt. Just this. He squeezed gently. I'll be right here. Every step. Weeks later, Luke went up to the attic to store holiday lights. Tucked in the corner, under a faded moving blanket, was a box he had not opened since his last deployment. Inside, his uniform, medals, photos from overseas, and one small envelope, sealed. Amanda's handwriting. He sat down, the late afternoon sun pouring through the window. He opened it. Inside was a letter written before the lies, dated 2 years into their marriage. If you are reading this, it means I broke something we built. I do not know how or why, but I need you to know I was not always pretending. For a while, I loved you in the only way I knew how. I just was not built to hold it. Luke stared at the page for a long time. Then, carefully, he placed it back inside. Some stories do not need to be reread. They just need to be closed. It was a crisp Saturday morning when Luke walked into the old VFW hall. The chairs were arranged in a loose circle. The men and women seated looked like life had scraped them raw, some clean-cut, others heavy-eyed, all carrying something invisible on their backs. Luke took a seat without speaking. A man with a worn Marine Corps cap finally nodded. You must be the podcast guy. Luke offered a quiet smile. Luke Rayner, Staff Sergeant, retired. A pause. Then a woman with a scar across her jaw said, Your voice helped me tell my daughter the truth. Luke nodded. That was what this place was for. Not war stories. Not medals. Truth. I am not here to talk about my ex, Luke began. I am here because for too long, I let the silence do the talking. He looked around. And silence is the cruelest kind of enemy when it protects the wrong people. The man in the Marine cap leaned forward. So what do we do with the truth now? Luke looked down, then back up with quiet certainty. We build with it. One story at a time. And in that circle, in that moment, Luke found something he did not know he was still missing. Belonging. Lily turned 17 on a Thursday. The year before, Amanda had forgotten. Claimed she was working. Sent a last-minute message with a fake smile and a $25 gift card. This year was different. Luke made pancakes from scratch. Lily's favorites, banana chocolate chip with cinnamon. He lit candles on the kitchen table and waited as she came down, eyes wide, half asleep, already smiling. You remembered, she whispered. Never again will I forget, he replied. They sat, just the two of them. No party. No gifts beyond what mattered. Presents. After breakfast, he handed her a notebook wrapped in brown paper. Inside were typed copies of every audio message he had recorded from deployment, transcribed, dated, bound. She ran her fingers over the pages like sacred relics. I thought I lost you in that silence, she whispered. You never did, Luke said. You were always the reason I recorded them. I just never knew they would save both of us." Lily stood and wrapped her arms around him. This birthday was not about cake. It was about a new chapter, written with honesty, bound by love. Amanda stood in her orange jumpsuit, flanked by a guard. This was not a trial. This was her formal sentencing confirmation, quick, procedural. The judge read off the terms like numbers from a list. 18 months confirmed, probation strict, supervision mandatory. No emotion, no headline, just justice. When asked if she wanted to speak, Amanda stepped forward slowly. Her voice barely filled the room. "I did terrible things, and I do not expect forgiveness." She paused, swallowed hard. "But I do hope someday Lily will live a life where my mistakes are just shadows, not chains." No applause, no reaction. The gavel tapped once. Amanda was led away. And just like that, the woman who once controlled the narrative was finally out of the story. It had been untouched for years. The old wooden treehouse in the backyard, built by Luke when Lily was 7, weather-worn, sagging slightly, paint flaked and faded. But today they rebuilt it. Together. Luke wore his work gloves. Lily held a power drill with steady hands. They replaced planks, repainted walls, added cushions inside. It was not just a fort anymore. It was a monument. To truth. To survival. To a father and daughter who were nearly broken and built each other back better. Lily sat cross-legged on the wooden floor, a paintbrush dangling from her fingers. "You think she ever loved us?" she asked, staring out at the yard. Luke was quiet. "Then, maybe. But love without truth isn't love. It's just possession." Lily nodded. Then she reached into her backpack and pulled out a small sign she had made. She nailed it just above the window. "No lies allowed." Luke chuckled. Perfect. And as they sat there in the treehouse, wind moving through the leaves, the past finally stopped echoing. Because they were not haunted anymore. They were home. The studio where Luke recorded his podcast was just a spare bedroom, converted with foam panels and a thrift store desk. But tonight, it felt like a cathedral. A listener named Julia had written him. Her brother had taken his life after being falsely accused by his ex-wife. He had never gotten the chance to speak his truth. "I wish he had found your voice sooner." The email ended. Luke sat before the mic, hands steady, voice low. "This episode is for the ones who were never heard," he said. "For every man who stayed silent to be noble, only to be broken for it. This time we speak." He read letters. He told stories. Not just his own, but theirs. By midnight, the episode had over 300,000 streams. Later that week, he was invited to speak at a justice reform summit. A father in Texas had cited Luke's podcast in court. Another had started a support group called Guardians of Silence. Luke had never chased fame, but somehow, his quiet had made more noise than Amanda's scream ever could. And now, when people said his name, it was not with pity. It was with respect. She performed it at her school's talent night. No fanfare, no sparkly dress, just a black t-shirt, jeans, and a guitar her uncle had restrung 2 weeks ago. The gymnasium lights dimmed. She stepped up to the mic and took a breath. Then she played. Her voice was soft at first, but steady, clear. "You almost made me believe I was the lie. But I saw truth in the cracks of your goodbye. And now I build where you tried to burn. You taught me pain. I taught me return." The gym was silent. When she finished, a boy in the front row stood and clapped. Then another. Then the whole room. Luke wiped his eyes from the back row. He was not just watching his daughter reclaim her voice. He was watching her become the author of her own story. Later, backstage, she hugged him tight. "You think people really liked it?" He smiled. They didn't like it. They felt it. Luke opened the closet. The dress blues still hung there. Pressed. Polished. Untouched since his retirement. He ran his fingers across the ribbons. Each one meant something. A year. A battle. A brother lost. A promise kept. But it was not the uniform that gave him worth. It was what he had carried in silence, and what he had chosen to speak. He took the jacket off the hanger, walked to the dining room, laid it flat on the table. Then he folded it, the way they taught him. the way he had folded flags for fallen friends. He placed it in a wooden shadow box, not as a shield, but as a reminder that honor, like truth, is quiet, but unbreakable. Lily entered the room and saw it resting on the table. "You're putting it away?" "I'm not that man anymore," Luke said. "But he got us here." She nodded, then smiled. "Maybe now? It's your turn to just live." Luke looked at her, his daughter, his anchor, his reason. And for the first time since he had come home, he finally felt it. He was free. Amanda sat across from her lawyer in the visitation room, the ticking wall clock grinding her nerves. "You received a request," the lawyer said. "Someone wants to visit before transfer." Amanda leaned forward, hopeful. "Lily." "No," the lawyer said, shaking his head. "Megan." Amanda sat back. Her sister. She had not spoken to her in months, not since Megan handed over the folder that exposed her lies in court. The door opened. Megan stepped in, arms crossed, eyes unreadable. Amanda stood, uncertain. "I'm not here for you," Megan said coldly. "I'm here for the girl you destroyed and the man you tried to erase." Amanda opened her mouth to speak, but Megan cut her off. "No. You will listen. Lily sent me a letter. She said she does not hate you, but she wants her story back. All of it. So here I am, telling you, face to face, you do not control her anymore." Amanda felt her knees weaken. Megan stepped closer. "You don't get forgiveness, Amanda. You get facts. And the fact is, they rebuilt. Without you." Then she turned to leave. Amanda called out, her voice trembling. "Will you at least tell her I'm sorry?" Megan paused. "I'll tell her the truth. That you said sorry. But I'll let her decide if it matters." And with that, Amanda was alone again. This time, without even the illusion of being missed. Luke had never been a man who cared about awards. But when the invitation came, hand-signed by the state governor, Lily insisted. Not for the trophy, she told him. For the people it might help. The venue was modest, an auditorium filled with advocates, reformists, survivors. The banner read, "Voices reclaimed, honoring those who spoke back." He was the final speaker of the night. As he took the stage, Lily stood at the edge of the curtain, watching him with pride that burned quiet and deep. Luke looked out over the crowd. "I almost lost everything," he began. "Not to bullets, not to bombs, but to the silence I thought would protect me." He held up a small photo. Lily, age 6, wearing his boots. I stayed quiet for her. But she was the one who reminded me that truth is not the opposite of love. It is love. The audience rose in a standing ovation. Later, in the hallway outside, an older man stopped him. "My son's facing something similar. He thought no one would believe him, but I played him your podcast. Now he's fighting back." Luke placed a hand on the man's shoulder. "Tell him to never confuse quiet with weakness." Spring arrived like a breath of hope, sunlit, warm, and full of color. Lily stood at the entrance of a new high school, her acceptance letter folded in her back pocket. They had moved again, just one town over. Far enough for a fresh start, close enough to stay grounded. New school, new name, by choice. She had dropped the last name Rayner, not because she was ashamed, but because she wanted to build something that was hers. She walked the halls that first day, unnoticed, unburdened. No one whispered. No one stared. During lunch, she pulled out a small notebook, opened to a blank page, and began writing lyrics. Lines came faster now. She did not write about pain. She wrote about building. She wrote about becoming. After school, Luke was waiting outside. "How was it?" he asked as she slid into the passenger seat. She smiled. "I was just me." He grinned, engine starting. About time. And they drove home. Not to escape, but because they had finally arrived. The sun was setting across the backyard, turning the grass gold and shadows long. Luke and Lily sat on the rebuilt treehouse porch, quiet, still, both watching as the sky did what it always did after chaos. It softened. Luke held a letter in his hands. It had arrived that morning. Stamped. Official. Amanda's parole review request. He had not opened it. He did not need to. She's still trying to write parts of this story, he said softly. Lily sat cross-legged beside him, her sketchpad resting in her lap. You gonna read it? Luke looked at the envelope for a long moment. Then he tore it in half and tossed it into the burn barrel below. I already know the answer, he said. We forgave. We moved on. But we do not go back. Lily smiled. Good. He turned toward her, eyes gentle but heavy with truth. Do you ever wish she could see you now? Lily closed her sketchpad. No, she whispered. Because I do not live to be seen anymore. I live to be whole. Luke nodded slowly. That night, they grilled hot dogs under the stars, laughed at dumb stories, played a board game they never finished. And when Lily fell asleep on the couch, Luke covered her with a blanket and sat beside her for a while, just watching. Because some nights are not made for talking. They are made for remembering. And some stories, they do not end with a scream. They end with peace. Months passed. Luke's podcast hit 1 million downloads. Lily was asked to record her first single with a local producer. Amanda was denied early parole. Justice stood. Peace stayed. The house had new windows now. The tree house got a name. The comeback, painted in bold letters beneath the roof. Luke found joy in things he had once forgotten. Coffee and silence, handwritten letters, long drives with no destination. And one morning, sitting on the porch with Lily's song playing in the background, he said it out loud, softly, to himself. That was the last time I ever said her name. Not with bitterness, not with hate, just closure. And in that silence, a new chapter began. Not survival, living. And now I'll ask you something. What would you do if someone tried to take your truth and weaponize it? Think about it. Let me know in the comments. And tell us, where in the world are you watching from? If this story moved you, if you felt anything while watching it, tap like, subscribe. Not because it helps the channel, though it does, but because it tells us you were here, that you watched it all the way through. And that stories like this, they matter. We'll see you in the next epic thriller, the next revenge that hits back harder. Until then, take care of your peace, guard your truth, and never let lies write your ending. The story ends here, but your truth, it starts now.